Now today's video, it's a quick one. It's a reactional video. I came across something interesting as I was reading the news online. It's an article talking about how Zimbabweans are actually cancelling their plans to come to the UK because they are realizing, and I'll say finally, they're finally realizing that the conditions are not conducive to their needs. And I'm just going to go through this article, and then after that, I'm going to give my little reaction to that. So the article is entitled, Zimbabweans Abandons Plans to Plug UK Care Gaps After Changes to Visa Rules. So this article was written talking about how Britain could actually face further staff shortages, especially the care work industry, as immigrants who had been ready to move to the UK are now having second thoughts. They are now actually cancelling their plans because of the new visa rules that actually prevents them from bringing their family with them. And by the way, this article is a recent article. As I'm reading this, it was published 4 hours ago on the 29th of March. So it's quite recent. So it's not old news. So I'm just going to call the man Mr. T. It's in the public domain, but I don't want to mention his full name anyway. So according to Mr. T, this was his goal, to come to the UK with his family to work as a carer. So he had planned to come, and he did his nurse aid course according to the paper. Mr. T obtained the necessary documents in preparation to move from Zimbabwe to the UK. According to the paper, Mr. T completed his nurse aid training course, and he actually obtained all the necessary documents in preparation to come to the UK. And he also got police clearance. So he was all set to go, and he did his English test. So everything was already in place, and he was ready to make the move. But his investment of time and money, he actually invested more than £1,000, all went to waste on the 11th of March this year, when the UK brought in visa rules that mean that he could no longer bring his family with him. So because of these visa rule changes, Mr. T decided, you know what, I'm not going to move anymore. I'm just going to cancel everything. So the article goes on to say, the measures announced by the government in December are intended to reduce the number of migrants coming into the country. So that's the intention. And the other intention as well is to combat the abuse of the immigration system. So we know about the COS, the scandals that came to light, how people were misusing or were abusing the system. They were actually conning people out of their hard-earned cash. They were making them pay thousands and thousands of dollars or pounds to come to the UK, only to find that actually the companies are not legit, or there are no jobs available, or there are no hours. And as I'm making this video, I know people who are now waiting for their papers. Some have appealed because they've been told to go back to Zimbabwe because they came only to find that actually their companies are not legitimate companies, or they don't have hours, and some of the companies have been suspended. So some are just waiting in limbo. And we've heard of people who've actually committed suicide. And I know this is unpleasant to say, but that's exactly what has happened because of these scandals. So because of that, the UK government took measures, or put measures in place, to actually stop the abuse of the immigration system. So it has necessitated, or it has caused these changes, because the government is trying to control the situation because it was getting out of hand. People were suffering because of this. People have suffered because there are people who sold their homes. There are people who sold their land, who sold their cattle to come to the UK, only to discover that they have been cheated out of their money. And we know how hard things are. Things are hard everywhere, even in Zimbabwe, even here in the UK. Things are hard because you don't want to have your hard-earned cash taken away by someone. That's not good. So this is what is happening here. So because of these changes that are now in place, and we know how things are now difficult, especially if you want to come to the UK to work. Things are now difficult. And some of these measures, according to this article, it is now becoming harder and harder for care workers to bring their dependents with them to work. Because if you're coming to work, you are also a human being. You are not coming as just one part of you. You come as a whole. Because as an individual, you have a right to have your family with you. And I think Zimbabweans are now recognizing that actually I can't go to the UK. Yes, I want to work. I want to earn some money and so forth. But at the same time, I can't leave my family behind. I have to have my family with me. And for him to take that stance, to cancel his plans because of it, I think that's him recognizing his worth. Because to be fair, yes, I know most people say, oh, Africans, we're desperate, we're coming here to work, we don't have options. But at the same time, coming to work, because those people from Africa, or people like me who have come from Africa to work, they are also contributing to the society. They are giving a positive contributions, because despite what people say, there is a need, a genuine need. We have seen the news, we have seen the interviews of people who run care homes actually admitting that the care homes need carers. They are facing serious staff shortages. And the people in these care homes, the elderly, they deserve to be cared for. I think despite the situation back home, yes, people might say, oh, there are no jobs, the situation is dire, things are hard, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, what we need to realize is, yes, those people who are coming from Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, wherever people are coming from, to come here to work, to fill in those gaps, those people are also contributing to the society. They are also making a very important contribution to the UK healthcare system. They are not just coming for nothing. They are not just coming to sit there and do nothing. They are doing their part. They are playing their part. They are doing an important job. They are filling a role or roles that are actually needed. So those people have got value, and they deserve to have their family with them. They deserve to live a life of happiness, a life of peace, because without your family, you can't be happy. Without your family, you can't have peace. You can't just live a life where you're just working and nothing else. I think finally, it's high time that people recognize and realize their value. And on the flip side, I also think that the UK care homes, or the elderly that need this support, the elderly in the UK, they also deserve to be looked after. The carers, no, not the carers, the elderly in the care homes, they deserve to be looked after by people who are happy, by people who are not depressed, by people who are not stressed out, by people who actually want to do the job genuinely. I say who actually want to do the job genuinely, because if people are in turmoil, if people have got no peace, if people are stressed out, are anxious, are depressed because they haven't got their family with them, those people are not happy when they go to work because they are constantly thinking about their family. Those carers are distracted because they haven't got their basic needs. In one of my videos, I talked about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As people, there are certain basic needs that needs to be met for us to function fully. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'll put a graph somewhere on the screen. If we look at that hierarchy, there are basic needs that we as human beings, we need to have. We need food, we need shelter, we need clothes. If I'm cold, if I'm hungry, if I'm in pain, I can't function. As a human being, I can't function. I can't function to the level that I need to function, let alone take care of another person, if my basic needs are not met. And family is right at the bottom as well. So we need to be able to fulfill those needs. If we expect a certain kind of standard from these care workers. We want them to perform. We want good quality care for our elders, which they deserve, rightly so, because I hear and I read a lot of comments. People talk about how these elderly deserve good care, quality care, because they have contributed national insurance, or they worked hard all their lives and they deserve to be looked after. And I agree totally. But at the same time, our elderly deserve to be looked after by people who are of sound mind and body. So it works both ways. Yes, we want quality care for our elderly, but at the same time, the person looking after our elderly needs to be right, to be in the right frame of mind. So this is why I'm saying it works both ways. So this is my thoughts about this whole situation. It works both ways. Both sides need to be looked after. The care workers need to be looked after. Our elderly deserve good quality care, and those things should work together somehow. So that's why I'm saying finally, Mr. T is recognizing his value, because he's not just coming to do nothing, he's coming to work. And he has said that the new restrictions defeat the whole purpose of migration. I wanted to move to the UK for the sake of my child. I want him to live in a better society. I cannot leave my family behind. So he is a man who recognizes his value. Yes, according to him, his conditions over there in Zimbabwe at the moment are not the most favorable. So he's seeking a better life for himself. But at the same time, he recognizes that he won't be happy if he comes to the UK without his family, because we all deserve to have a family life. So I don't know what your thoughts are regarding this situation, but this is my take on the situation. My take, as I said, it should be a give and take. I don't know what you think. I don't know how you see this. As always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section. Now, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.